Hi folks, welcome to another Bossii tutorial. This time we'll be doing a tutorial on how to create a roster. So assuming you've already inputted all of your employees into Bossii Admin, you now come to Bossii Admin and go into the management module, into staff rosters, and we have all of our staff rosters listed here. So the easiest way uh, moving forward is to always just copy forward a roster. But let's just assume that this is the very first roster that you're completing. So at this point here, you would just press New, press the week ending date. As you can see, there are no staff member names in your roster so far, but as soon as you press week ending date, let's choose, we're going to do the week ending, the Sunday, the 20th. Okay, all of a sudden, as soon as you've chosen the week ending date, that's when all the names filled into your roster. So your roster shows all the different job positions up the top here. So we can roster by job position. We also have all of your 7 days and then a full week's view as well. Okay, showing all of your different days. And you can also look at your roster by cost centers. So this particular roster has back of house and front of house as its two cost centers. As you can see, with each cost center, there is a different set of job positions as well. So if we go to back of house, there's another set of job positions available for that. If we press all, it shows all of the job positions. You can also look at your roster by employee name or by the employees working. So if we just use employees working and we do Monday's roster, we require Anthony to start. He will be completing a coffee. He'll be the coffee maker. So we choose coffee maker and then drag. So click on 6 a.m. and drag from 6 a.m. He'll be working until 2:30. So we'll go halfway between 2 and 3 p.m. There are some very small little black lines that just match up to 2:15, 2:30, 2:45, etc. And so that time bar there is for 8.5 hours, as you can see in there. And the second column that says total is the cumulative total so far for the week. As it's Monday, this is the total so far. If we want to put Eve on a shift, so she will be working in the cabinet. So we click on cabinet and grab, and she's going to be coming in at 7 a.m. So we click on 7 and drag all the way across to 3 p.m. So that's Eve's shift. She's doing 8 hours at that point. If we go to Tuesday, as you can see, the cumulative total is still in showing for Anthony and for Eve, as they were the only two that were put on the roster so far. If we add another shift for Anthony, he's going to be working on the cafe floor, and he will be starting at 6 a.m. and will be going until midday. Okay, that now shows us 6 hours and a cumulative total of 14.5 hours so far. If we wanted to grab that bar and actually give it to somebody else, that time bar, we can just highlight it, drag it down. We're going to give it to Joseph. And at this point here, Joseph will now be doing that shift. Okay, so it's showing all the uh, all the times that Joseph has worked so far today, and also the cumulative total, which is only for the Tuesday so far. If we wanted to delete that time bar, we could highlight Joseph's shift and press the delete button up the top here. Do you want to delete this time bar? Yes, and that cost has come off. As you can see, there are no people rostered on the Tuesday so far, but there is a roster cost of $235.85 up the top here. That would mean that some of your staff members in this list are salary staff members, and there is a portion of that of their salary that is attributable to the Tuesday. And so before the doors are even opened, you're faced with a cost of $235.85. This includes any on costs, including super. Um, and that cost is the salary cost component so far. So if we add a shift for example, for Jane Kelly, that will go from 235.85 to, so for a 6.5 hour shift, it'll go to $450 at that point. Okay, we will now move to the week. And so the week, you can basically see all the people working at that point who has you've put on the roster at that point. And you can also look at it from back of house and front of house views as well. And if you're happy with that roster, you can release the roster. That means that your staff members can print out their own roster from the POS. And if you get into the practice of pressing recalculate staff cost, that will recalculate any costs that may have changed since the last time you recalculated your staff costs. If, for example, you've given your salary staff members a pay rise, or you've changed the level 2 or level 3 casual rate, then that will bring in the new costs for them. And at this point here, you can press save. And so you've now created a roster for that particular week. If you wanted to print that out, okay, you just go into the roster, all right, and then just go print. Now you've got a choice of either exporting the roster to Excel, or you can email the roster to staff, or you can choose to print the entire staff roster. So if we went to email rosters to staff, this shows the people that have an email address listed, and we can basically tag all of these to send email now, and we can put a message in there as well. And that will go out to all 3 of the staff members. If you have 5 staff and only 3 of them are showing up, then that means that there are 2 staff that have no email address listed in their employee cards. At this point here, you can press OK, and that will build an individual email to each of your staff members. It would be best practice that if you are sending from an email address such as venuename@gmail.com, then make sure that you tell your staff to whitelist that particular email address so that it doesn't get blocked by any spam filters or anything like that. Okay, so we can press cancel at this point. You can export the roster to Excel if you have Excel on your system, or you can just print the entire roster. So if we double click on staff rosters, that is now showing us the back of house roster. And then if we press page across, that's showing us the front of house roster as well. Okay, and from there we can just print, email, or create that as a PDF file. We'll close that preview and press back, and we'll get out of our roster. If we want to copy forward a roster, so we're just doing a roster for the 27th of September, all we have to do is highlight the 20th of September, press copy, change the week ending date to the 27th of September. It brings in the 20th of September's roster, and if we need to make any changes, we can just add Irini onto here. And if Irini is actually going to be working, but we don't want her to work on the cafe floor, we'll change that shift to she's going to be the venue leader that particular day. And we can add some notes as well. So only for 2 hours. That will appear on her roster, and so she'll know that that's what she's doing for that particular day. And we can also extend her roster if we wanted to, and that obviously changes the roster cost as well up the top there. So copying forward a roster is always best practice because it's so much simpler and so easy. Again, press the release button, press the recalculate staff cost button, and then press save. And that is how you create a new roster, and also how you copy forward an existing roster. Thank you.